Hello, world. The following is a conversation with TJ and Jack with Kansas City's Christian radio station Life 88.5. This station is committed to lifting up Kansas City and surrounding communities with faith-based music, content, and community outreach. TJ is the Community Engagement Director, and Jack is the Community Outreach Specialist. They share a true love of Jesus and want to give the world hope by sharing God's Word and love. Through this conversation, we learned that Life 88.5 is a legacy station of the late Reverend Billy Graham and has been providing faith-based content to listeners for decades. We talk about all these things and so much more. Thank you, TJ, Jack, and all Life 88.5 family for doing what you do. This is Enterrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to Enterrupt KC, the podcast dedicated to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City. This is D-Rod. This is D-Rod JL, man. What's going
up,
on,
man? What's up? Hey, that just goes to show everybody, man. We don't always get it right.
Man, sometimes we stumble. A few times we fail.
We have,
but it's all good, man.
Yeah.
That's how organic it is, right? I mean,
yes, sir.
Hey, I'm not too ashamed to say that.
Yeah, we ain't picture perfect.
No,
we might look it sometimes. Well,
yeah.
we're not.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Man, you know what? It's like I said the other day, man. I feel like one of the things with the weather changing, right. My allergies are starting to kick in. I don't know about you, I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I take shots.
Man,
not shots, but shots.
Sometimes I take both. The Royals, man.
Oh man, come on!
I ain't gonna lie, man. Like I got opening day tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for the Royal season. They ended off in such a positive note for the city. With years of not doing nothing. Bobby Witt Jr. Shout out. Man, he's getting all kinds of American League Player of the Year votes.
Man, they're undefeated, right?
Are they?
I believe so.
Preseason?
I believe so in preseason. I mean, I watch it. I didn't watch, but I was keeping up on them a little bit, man. So shout out to our boys in blue, man. They doing it, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out. But yeah, man, I'm excited about this. Our guest here today. This is the second time we've been in a radio station in Kansas City, which is awesome. Last time it was Carter Broadcasting, our boy Brian B. Shining over on 103.3. Shout out Brian B.
Brian B.
And today, man, we're over here on the Kansas side, man.
Yes, sir.
So without further ado, man, what do you say we interrupt our guests?
Man, I'm excited to talk to these two gentlemen,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Let's go ahead and interrupt them, man.
And by interrupt, y'all know we mean introduce our guests, none other than Jack and TJ with Life 88.5, fellas.
TJ and Jack, what's up, fellas?
You ready for this?
Absolutely, I am. Let's freaking go.
Hey, I like the Royals necklace, too, because it reminds me of, at my house, in my basement, I got my Crown scoreboard.
Yeah.
That's what my TV looks like.
Oh, for real?
I got the Crown scoreboard around it in my man cave.
Is that right?
So.
Do you have that made? You have that made somewhere here?
No, my dad and I made it together.
Oh, is that right?
I have to show you a picture of it. It's
Yeah,
pretty fun.
man. Yeah. What's your dad's name?
John.
John?
Hey, shout out John.
Shout out John for being a carpenter and building that, man. That's nice.
TJ has the most rad man cave there is. I mean, he has baseball bats for hand railings. I mean, that's how iconic it is.
So you're baseball guy,
Sports.
fan, what?
So I played in college.
Fan, clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been a huge Royals fan my entire life.
Sure,
and
man.
The thing that I collect the most, though, are my sports pennants. I have over 400 pennants that are on like the ceiling all throughout the basement.
Wow.
So
Are they hanging down or you got them
Yeah,
flat?
they're just flat on the ceiling.
Oh,
But they're
wow.
pretty fun.
Which one's the oldest one?
Gosh, I've got a Kansas City Chiefs one from 1969.
Oh my God.
That I found at an estate sale one time for just like $3.
Wow.
And I was like, I gotta have this one.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God. That was still in great condition.
It's pretty beaten up, but
Yeah.
it's got character to it.
Yeah,
So.
man. It's 55 years old.
Yeah,
man.
right.
Man, I mean, that if anything, that is probably one item in your house where somebody would say, you've been a Royals fan a long time.
That's right.
You know, with that, man, you should probably keep that separate from the other ones and have like that's what pops need to build something around that because of the delicacy of it, man, how old it is, right?
It's got some
put some
character.
lights on it.
Yep.
Put some lights
Well,
on
listen, fellas, thank you guys, man. You know, there is one thing, and we do, people have contacted us about being on the podcast, D-Rod.
Yeah.
Actually, our last episode, shout out Oyama KC, Leslie Reyes, that was actually a fan request. They were like, hey, you guys should go talk to Oyama KC and talk about what they're doing down there on the boulevard.
Yeah, coffee shop.
We made that happen. Cool. So this, because, you know, Enterrupt KC is about the city. It's about Kansas City, man. So this is just a way that, you know, us showing that we do come out into the city, man. We're out. We're not just urban. We're out here. You know, where is this, by the way? This is college and...
This is college in Antioch. Down here in Overland Park.
Overland Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice,
man.
Nice.
So tell us, fellas, we are at Life 88.5, Kansas City. City backdrop behind you.
Absolutely.
What are your guys' roles here, man? Talk about your roles. What is this right here?
Sounds good. I'll start, I guess. So I'm the community engagement specialist.
Okay.
And it's a nice tag team right here because you have the community engagement director right beside me. So we are the
Director
two
and specialist.
Absolutely. We are the.
Those are some pretty important titles right there, right?
They're fun titles.
Well, I would prefer Overlord or something, but that's just me. But regardless, we are a two-man department, and we just pound the streets as hard as we can to serve our people here. And also, I say here in Kansas, but also there in Missouri, and then just the metro area because we serve such a large population.
Right.
You know, from as far as west as Topeka to about east as Warrensburg, and then maybe north to Cameron, Missouri-ish, and then down to the south side of Harrisonville and maybe Clinton.
Yeah.
So TJ can clean that up if he wants. But
can't forget the 911 though.
Oh yes, absolutely.
July last year, we also added 911 out of St. Joe, so we've got another signal, which helps us serve another 180,000 people.
That's awesome, man.
Wow.
So that's awesome.
So what radius would you? What is that radius? And let's just say downtown Kansas City. That's about a 50-mile radius, maybe more.
From east to west, I do believe it's like 115.
115.
Yeah,
but
miles.
North and south.
And then north and south would be more.
Our Cameron goes it's pretty up there, but Harrisonville's about 40 miles.
88.5 north to south is 119 miles.
Okay.
And so then you add on 91.1 out of St. Joe, and so that gets us another probably 70 to 80 more miles on top of that. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a lot of miles on the station van, that's for sure.
A lot of windshield time.
Yeah.
You guys, your roles, community, let's just say specialist, director. Obviously being out in the community, you know, here at Kansas City, and plus those cities that you mentioned, right? So the reach, which we kind of talked about there. I mean, what would you say at core, man? Like 88.5, like what is that? What is that message? What are you trying to do with 88.5 Life?
Absolutely.
You want me to go?
That's a director.
That's a director question.
He pointed right at you, TJ. Here we go.
I'm just thinking belly to belly, you know?
Yeah,
You're up.
So that's the term that we use a lot on the engagement side is getting belly to belly with people. Okay. And so that's what our goal is to get out and get into different communities and to let them know that there's a reason to still have hope. I mean, because there's a lot of places right now where hope is something that's hard to come by.
Yes, sir.
And so we want people to know that God loves them and that there's a reason that even if you're walking through challenging situations, that hope is a big factor because when it enters the situation, he can change everything. And so that's what we do. And we have a very big passion and a desire to continue to let people know that hope is here in Jesus. Yeah. And it's just been incredible to see over the 20 plus years that I've been here, how the impact of Life 88.5 has grown because God has used it in a remarkable way to reach a whole lot of people.
I think that's awesome, man. I think sometimes, man, the idea, the conversation around God or religion, right? It could be so controversial today, right? And I'm sure you guys face that, and particularly with your radio station here, right? Would you say that this station is just for God-believing people or people who need hope, or how would you talk about that?
Well, I think the thing that people find really surprising about Christian radio in general, but specifically here at Life 88.5, is about 53% of our audience does not consider themselves believers.
Really?
Is that right?
They're unreached people, and so
And they're just tuning in.
they're tuning in because they want a safe place for their family, a safe place for their kids.
Yeah.
They're looking for something.
Yeah.
And so to think that more than half of our audience doesn't consider themselves Christ followers, that's really a great thing for us, because
Oh, yeah.
we want to connect with them.
Yeah, and that's a message that you're sending without really trying to send that. And I mean, you're getting followers over that.
Sure.
That
How do you gauge? I mean, how do you measure that? I'm curious. Is it a survey, or how do you measure that?
A very expensive
probably
survey.
interacting with them.
So interacting with them, and then we get a lot of information from like market research that we do, different things like that. And so, yeah, it's a very expensive thing to have to do, but it helps us when we find that information out. How do we go ahead and continue to reach people, right? I mean, it gives us the information that we need and the tools and the resources to know, okay, if there's this many people here, how do we get there, and how do we touch them?
Right. One thing that you touch on about that, about 53% of people that don't follow or have faith or, whatever it is, in order for them to begin to have that faith, there is some transition to that where they become a better person. We all know that that's what it's all about. If you have faith and you believe in God, Jesus, and it'll guide you to be a better person, have better life, love better, love harder. There's a lot to say for that. And when people who are mainly non-believers, and then there's some type of transition that might go on with their clique, right? I'm sure you guys face that or heard that many times.
Absolutely. I mean, the clique is interesting too. It's so cool when an on-the-fence believer or someone who isn't a believer, it clicks all of a sudden, and then they are a believer, and then their life has changed, right? And I'll just, say straight from the get-go, TJ and I aren't perfect, right? But we have Jesus, and with that, we can do what you say. We can live a better life. We could love harder. We could forgive quicker. We could all those things.
Which is being a better person.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Whatever it takes to make a person be better. If that's what it is, I mean, that's what I'm all for, man.
Well, I don't want to make this conversation so deep so fast. Even though that would be great. One of the things we like to do, man, is, this is our first time meeting you all and your first time meeting us. And this might be the first time a lot of people have met you actually, and seen you actually in person, and us for that matter. But this is our podcast. So let's talk about you guys for a second. All right. We learned a little bit about TJ Jack. We'll start with you a little bit. Where are you from, man?
I was born and raised in Illinois.
Illinois, okay.
Yep. It's a small farm town called Liberty. I like to say it's in the belly button of Illinois. Other people like to say it's in the armpit of Illinois, but and other people say more colorful stuff. But that's where I was born and raised.
I've never heard those two body parts describe what a state ever in my life. So this is awesome.
Or a town or a city.
Never. I've never heard that. Go ahead.
Liberty, Illinois.
Heartbeat of America. Great people. And then I graduated high school from there, and I shipped off to Missouri State University down in Springfield, Mo. And then I graduated with a degree in entertainment management. Worked in professional sports and recreational sports for a couple years, and then got unexpectedly laid off. And then God led me to here, and I've been here for about 5.5 years, and I'm so grateful for it.
That's awesome, man. So have you always had that interest in radio, or just...
No, radar was not on my radio was not on my radar at all. Like I said, I was big into stadiums and arenas, and I wanted to manage one of those. And then something came along, and God just showed me this path. And it's honestly, if I could sidebar for 30 seconds,
Go ahead.
I'm so grateful because I was laid off, and I was like, what am I going to do? So then I job searched, failed for 2 to 3 months. I was like at my wit's end. I was in the car one day. I was listening to Life 88.5. a radio station I listened to every day, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together to apply or to even try to apply until that day.
Yeah.
And that's because God's timing is so perfect, because this job opening, it was a part-time front desk position, and it wasn't open that entire time.
Right.
But the day he told me to apply is when it opened.
Really?
And so here we are, and I got picked up.
Yeah.
So
And TJ's life's been hell ever since.
He's like, why? Why did you walk through them doors?
maybe the first 5 years, but I feel like the last 6 months were clicking.
No, I think it's been amazing. And I mean, Jack has added a lot to our team. He is somebody that knows how to execute events really well, and the thing I like the most, though, is just that we get to really brainstorm about different ways to try and reach people, and we like to think outside the box a lot of times too.
Certainly.
Now, some of those we haven't been able to do just yet, but
That's true, and they take a little more convincing, of certain people. But we have some crazy
that's
ideas.
what I like, though, is how we're not afraid to try something, and do something fun.
Amen.
Well, that's cool. So how long have you been here now, Jack?
About 5.5 years.
5.5 years. Wow, man. Yeah. So as specialist, community specialist, right? You're out there in the community quite a bit, or I mean, is that your daily activity or weekly? Would you say event planning, something like that?
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis, it is a lot of dreaming and then planning, making sure that it happens when the day rolls around. But I mean, to this guy's credit, he's out at 95% of the events. And maybe I'm a cool 50% on a good year.
Yeah.
But it's a nice balance, because in that there's freedom for me to go out and kind of do what we're doing here, right? See what kind of events we can do in the Life 88.5 Listener Lounge. And this is one of the events. We have blood drives. We have Bible studies.
Oh, nice.
We have human trafficking prevention courses. We have an art show where 350 people showed up in this room.
Really?
I mean,
Wow.
God can use this room for anything. I'm just a conduit for that.
Yeah.
So to this guy's credit, he allows me to dream while he's out in the streets a little more.
Well, and it's nice, too, with him being the specialist, is we're able to say, okay, here are a couple of events that you can just kind of run with, you can specialize in. And we do a free concert every single summer. And so Jack kind of helps really oversee and handle all of the ins and outs of something that's that massive and that big of an undertaking.
Right.
And so for him to be able to have that flexibility to do that has been huge for our department.
Where's that concert at? Where do you guys have it at?
Where are we having it, Jack?
What's the location? Or you only give it out?
We can't. Not for this one.
Not yet?
Oh my gosh, the
This year,
toughest
just
question
yet.
so far. Yeah, no, so in the past, it has
Okay.
been at Grandview Amphitheater. It's been in Gladstone, I do believe.
Yeah, we've had a couple in Gladstone, a couple in Grandview, different locations like that.
So you're working on something now. You just can't say
Oh,
it.
golly, yes. And
Okay.
it's coming
That's
out
fine.
publicly soon.
Also, the irons
I'm
are in
sorry.
the fire.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the
No,
spot like
it's
that.
good.
No, you're
Yeah,
testing
it's all
our
good.
discipline. But also, with that said, I also had freedom to work on a prison concert. So we had an outreach prison concert to the men in Lansing Correctional Facility.
Okay.
And there's 1,500 inmates there. And so we worked with an artist. We brought him in. He was kind enough to do 3 separate sets, because for security reasons, you can't have more than 500 inmates in the yard at a time. So we cycled them through. And that was just another project that I got to focus on.
Nice.
All right, TJ, tell us about yourself, man. Where are you from? Tell Kansas City. Where are you from, man?
Okay, so I grew up in Concordia, Missouri, which is basically halfway between Kansas City and Columbia. It's right on I-70. It's the place that everybody stops as they're traveling across the state.
We got that truck stop right there.
Got the big truck stop, got the McDonald's. That's where I worked at when I was in high school.
Oh, no way.
And so, I've been there. My folks still live in Concordia.
Nice.
And my wife and I live on the south side in Harrisonville, and we've got 3 kids. And so we got our first one in college right now, so that's kind of a new wild adventure that's happening.
Yeah. Nice.
She's at
Tell them
Mizzou.
where. Yeah.
Shout out Tigers.
Oh, okay.
So-
yeah.
Is that a school in Missouri? I'm just joking.
You almost had me.
remember-
I was like, what?
He gave me that stare.
I was like, uh-oh.
No, I just that's awesome, man.
Yeah, she's a Tiger.
And you're How did you get here? How did you get here at Life 88.5, TJ?
Gosh, a long time ago. I'm in my 21st year right now, and
Congratulations.
So, thank you. And it was one of those things that my background is sportscasting. I worked with UMKC for 11 years as a sports announcer and called games all over the country and have a big background on that side. I dabbled in sports radio a little bit early on, right out of college, in a couple of spots. And the opportunity came to be an on-air announcer and do promotions at that time for a station, for 88.5, when it was still owned by a different company.
Got it.
And I didn't know anything about it. And I applied and nothing happened. And about 3 months later, I got a phone call and they were like, hey, we'd like you to come in and interview for this position, and did that. And it was like, okay, I think I can do this. But the wild thing is, I got hired the very first day. I actually went into my office and sat down after the morning show was over, and I was supposed to be this promotions director, and no one told me anything. They just like sat me down and they're like, here's your office. There you go. And I was 24 years old, and I was like, I don't know
what I'm doing.
what to do.
Well,
And so,
let me tell you something, TJ. Speaking as a director in my professional life, that's usually what happens to people who get hired as directors. Here you go. Here's your office. Here's your desk. Here's your chair.
They're like, go for it.
Congratulations.
Go direct.
You know. Anyway, go ahead.
And so, yeah, the second day actually that I was on the job, I got a phone call from a concert promoter, and they're like, hey, we want to do this concert. And I'm like, great, let's do it. I don't know. And we've gone from there. So 20 plus years later, here we sit.
Well, you
Man,
must have been
that's
doing
awesome.
it right, man.
I guess so. I mean,
And talk about humble beginnings. We talked about that pre-show. I mean, weren't you in an old military barracks with vultures flying around or something crazy?
so our digs used to be on the 3rd floor of the old Richard Skibauer Air Force Base in South Kansas City.
Okay.
So the college that owned the station at that time occupied a couple of different buildings, and then the radio station was on the 3rd floor, and there were leaks in the ceiling. There were birds flying in the bathrooms because it was just an old, broken down army barrack.
Yeah.
And so there was like no heat in the winter, and it was super hot in the summertime. And so, yeah, that's how we got off the ground here in KC.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. And you said, how long has Life 88.5 been around now?
So 88.5 has been on the air since 1979. And then
It's been a Christian station that long.
Station that long.
Okay.
And then Northwestern Media, who owns Life 88.5 now, took over in 2013. And then shortly after that, we moved locations from South Kansas City to here in Overland Park, and we've been in this spot for a couple years now.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I was saying pre-show, and D-Rod knows my mother really well. I grew up listening to 88.5. My mother, man, devout Christian, you know, and she just, man, she's gonna clean the house, 88.5 is on. She got, you know, of course, you know, this is in the 80s and 90s, you know, so there was a cassette tape every now and then, and there might have been a CD,
A little bit different.
but you know, the radio was jamming. It was 88.5.
Yeah.
And I was a young kid, D-Rod, you know, I was like,
What is this?
man, man, we're getting ready to go to church for 5 hours. I got to listen to this right now.
Right.
Man, come on.
That was some preparation for you.
It
man.
was preparation. It
Gotta
was.
prepare. You know,
Also,
one
I think
question.
the coolest. Oh, sorry
no,
to
go
cut you
ahead.
off there, but I think one of the coolest things is that we are a legacy station of the Reverend Billy Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we are a degree of separation from him because he was the second president, I do believe, of the university that owns us. And he
that
believes
right?
so passionately in reaching youth specifically, which is ironic because the youth don't listen really to radio now, but back then they did, and thought he could reach the youth with the word of God through the radio. So then out of that became Northwestern Media, and out of that became Life 88.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead, D-Rod. You were going to say
No,
something?
yeah, I was going to ask, you know, for being that time frame of being open or, you know, playing on the stations, how the measuring of listeners, how do you measure that from then till now in comparison?
So in 2013, in the final year of KLJC at that time, we had 68,000 listeners. And so Arbitron is the big company that we pay for all of the data from all of that. And so we know how many people listen at any given time. And we've had books here at Life 88.5. I know in October a couple years ago, we had about 220,000 people that listen. And so it's grown exponentially over the last 10 plus years since Northwestern Media has been a part.
Gotcha. And they measure that however they do with the little electronic thing. Just do.
Right about that. I could speak directly to that because I was one of those people that
aliens, D-Rod. Aliens, D-Rod. Aliens.
Well, we felt a little cyborg-like. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody, nice woman over the phone called me up and was like, "You should be a part of this." And I said, "Sounds great. Pays $50 a month. I'm on it." So nice. You get like a little beeper, like a pager thing. Yeah. You hook that on your belt or whatever, and then it takes a code, like a transcription code, and it takes it from whatever media you're consuming, so YouTube video or radio station, whatever, and then it ships off to the Nielsen, and then Nielsen tabulates that, and I guess works with Arbitron, and that's how you get your numbers. Now, keep in mind, those numbers are like extrapolated, right? They get bigger because they're doing some fancy formula, right? So it's more than the number of people wearing it.
It's like a survey too, right? Like surveys. What is the there's a saying with surveys. It's like it's some weird technical verbiage they use, D-Rod. It's like you only need like 300 or 500 or something like that respondents to a survey for it to be considered accurate.
For it to register or something.
And it's like you could take that number and extrapolate those numbers, and that's So anyway,
there's something like that.
I was gonna say, man, positive messaging. You guys talked about that with Life 88.5, which we love. And I'll tell you, and we've said this to a couple people. That's actually one of the biggest compliments we get as a podcast. People have told us, they're like, "Man, you guys are like just two dudes that just talk to people. Like there's no agenda whatsoever." For Kansas City, do you guys have a measure on the people who truly like, you know what, we love this station, it's positive for us, and it's engaging me in my daily activities and keeping me positive? You know what I mean? Do you guys have any measure on that, or how that works for you guys?
So I think that we see that a lot of times by what happens outside the walls of the station, because obviously people can interact with our people when they're on the air and with phone calls and text and things like that. But when we have a chance to go into different communities and do events and get to hear the stories firsthand, that's where I think the real measure happens, because you're like, okay, God really is working in a pretty spectacular way through this ministry. And it's okay if I touch on one of the events
whatever
that
you
I
want to
feel.
touch on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we all remember what 2019 was like, when there was a lot of unrest, not just across Kansas City, but really across the country. And one of the things that we wanted to figure out during that time is there was just a lot of heaviness and hatred, and we were like, we got to do
division.
something. We got to do something to unite people. And so that's where really one of our biggest outreaches that we do was birthed out of, and we call it Snow Cone with a Cop. So it started in 2019. We're in year 7 now. And we were able to partner the first couple years with 7-Eleven, and we went into some of the more challenging areas in our city, and we wanted to do something where different police departments could come along, and we provide snow cones for free, and we got our big prize wheel and a lot of fun and stuff like that. And the different law enforcement agencies, they'll come out and they'll bring the police dogs and the cop cars and things like that. And we just invite the community to come together and just have a chance to kind of hang out and get to know each other a little bit better. And the very first one that we did was on Central Avenue in KCK. Right there at that 7-Eleven as it kind of turns back to the north.
By Wyandotte High School.
Right there by the high school. And in the 72 hours leading into that event, there had been 7 shootings in that area. And so obviously there was a need for hope in that location. And so we partnered together with the KCKPD and we did that event. And it was so amazing to see how many people, showed up and the impact that it had. And we've heard remarkable stories over the last 6 years of
That's awesome.
people that have come to those types of events. And we've taken them. I think we've worked with 36 different law enforcement agencies all across our listening areas. And it's just neat to see people, like last year, for example, we were in Raymore and I connected eyes with this lady as she walked up. And it was just one of those things, like I really felt I needed to talk to her in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And so it wasn't for about 45 minutes before we had a chance to visit with each other. And she had she was a social worker for 27 years. And she's like, I've worked with the police almost every single day throughout that. And she's like, I've never really enjoyed that part of my job because she's like, there's just something about it. I don't really know them that well. And,
Right.
But she said, you guys are doing this event in my community and I wanted to come see what it was all about. And so she had a chance to come there that afternoon and visit with some of the police officers. And when we had a chance to talk that day, she turned and she looked me right in the eye and she was like, I discovered we're not that different after all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, that's exactly what the heart of those events are, is just for people to spend some time together because everybody wants to live their best life and make it from one day to the next. And, it's just been neat to see stories like that happen over the course of the last 6 years.
I think that's the beauty in just having conversation, right? I mean, just like we're having right now, you know what I mean? We're going to walk out of here and just know that each other that much more better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But particularly in person, TJ, you know what I mean? And with police officers. I mean, D-Rod and I, we grew up urban core Kansas City, and man, we could probably share some horrible cop stories with you guys. But it's one thing to we always talk about like stereotypes. You shouldn't stereotype people. We stereotype cops all the time, right? And those community events undo those stereotypes little by little, and because of those conversations. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I think that's beautiful. And we had Chato Villalobos. He was a guest, and he was a cop. And a lot of people told us, they're like, man, because he talked about the unrest you just described.
Yeah, all
he
the
talked
scrutiny,
about
the scrutiny that they, that he was getting from even
his own family and friends. Like,
and shout out Chato, man, because
Chato.
he I mean, it's pretty emotional.
He got emotional.
I mean, it's an emotional episode, and I mean, it's him talking about that, so, and I think too, also, to your point about getting out there and talking to the people and face to face, and the ones that show up. And I've said this before too. Like, there's so many people that want to course correct their life. And whatever that may be, like, we said in the beginning, whatever it takes to make them a better person in every which way, the ability to change into a great person. And if it takes to go into your event and if they're lost and not too sure, well, hell, that's where they'll find it. Right?
Absolutely.
Great thing, man.
how do you market those events, and do you have any coming up that people should know about?
So one of the ways that we are very intentional about trying to get to a lot of different places with those events, because the first couple of years I mentioned that we were partnering with 7-Elevens for those. And after the first 3 years, we were like, okay, we need to really expand this into communities that have never experienced it before. And so we started to take them to all kinds of different places. And that's what was amazing to see, is we promote them on the air and they're on our website, and we put digital assets together, and we partner with different police departments. And one of the things that I like to see at those, it's not just getting to see people interact with each other, but just 2 years ago, I think it was the one that we did in Edgerton. Right? I think think it was in here.
What are you referencing?
No, Baldwin City. I'm sorry. It was in Baldwin City. And one of the police officers said, in the 35 years that I've done this job, today was my favorite day.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And it was at a splash pad there. And it was just, the kids were coming out and they were splashing, and we were handing out snow cones.
Right.
And the biggest one that we've ever had was in Gardner a couple years ago. We did 610 snow cones in 2 hours. And so that was wild. The snow cone machine was like smoking, just cranking them out. But 17,000 snow cones in 6 years.
Wow.
And so to think the stories that those snow cones represent, I mean, and we're never going to know most of those stories.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
true. And if I could touch on something that we were briefly talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll touch on maybe two things. Way back, we talked about the guy with the sticker. He's doing great work. He's putting in the work, because I see those stickers on light poles in downtown KC when I'm leaving church or whatever.
Yeah.
So props to him. And then I also wanted to touch on, like, we're going to all these places because we want people to kind of, like D-Rod saying, feel welcome, right? We don't want to just be the Overland Park, Johnson County Christian music station, right? We want to be for the Latinos. We want to be for the African Americans. We want it to be their station as well.
Yeah.
And through these expensive surveys, we find that those populations are lacking. That not many high percentages are tuning in. So we just want to encourage people to give us a try. We used to have a thing called the 7-day challenge, where if you just give us 7 days, you'll be a hooked listener, because you'll want that positivity. You guys give off positivity, you know?
Yeah.
So we give that off as well, and we just encourage people to tune in.
I have no doubt people will listen to your station and be like, oh man, I like this. To your point though earlier, Jack, I have to fully admit, I don't know the last time I've listened to radio. I mean, to be honest with you, and
I'm so excited I knocked my microphone over.
I mean, honestly, my radio life is just depleted completely, and I don't really know why. To be honest, I used to be like a big sports radio guy. You know, TJ talked about that a little bit. Big sports radio guy, but man, now
88.5, man.
I know now. I guess I just need to put on 885 and just let it run.
Hey,
you know,
look, I've been listening to you. I've been listening to you
Attaboy.
here a little bit more the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I've been listening a little bit more.
Well, thank you so much for listening.
It's amazing.
To your point, you know, that's tough, because you're probably no older than 25, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
somewhere in
you
there.
just turned 25.
I'm a Gen Z.
And pros and cons. So, listen, that Christian radio that your mother was diligently listening to growing up, I mean, it's changed. I mean, the Christian music now is just straight bangers. They are. It is good stuff.
Some good stuff.
is.
So it's definitely changed.
Listen, Jack, man. My mom, man, and it wasn't just her, man. I grew up with a lot of uncles and aunts, and I went to a pretty wild Pentecostal church, all Spanish church, by the way, which I was going to ask you about. Do you guys have Spanish at all mixed into your...
I'm glad you're asking.
Yeah, we don't. That is a dream of ours, though, one day to enter into that realm.
That is a population that is growing quickly in Kansas City.
And we've seen that. We actually have one of our life support team volunteers. We call our volunteers the life support team. They help us at different events.
Shout out Sonia.
Yeah, Sonia actually,
Sonia.
she would take Christian music and she would translate it into Spanish for some of her Spanish-speaking friends. And so it was. We know that that's a very valuable realm that we'd like to get into one day for sure.
Absolutely. That's why we're looking to do partnerships that just will get us in front of these different people groups, because they matter just as much as any other people group, right? God loves us all. So
that's what was amazing about the KCK. We did the KCK Christmas tree lighting for the first time this last year, and got to meet a whole bunch of great people at that event. It was like 4,000 people that showed up that night, and it was just like, wow, this is so cool. I mean, we long to have another outlet for people that are Hispanic to listen to, for sure.
So what's crazy, man, is, you know, one of the things that you talked about, the Hispanic population, when we had that conversation with Carlos a year ago, D-Rod, Carlos Gomez, shout out Hispanic Chamber, the Hispanic population, TJ, is outpacing every other demographic significantly. I mean, I think it was like 10-1 or something like that. It was crazy how much the Hispanic population is growing. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys, what does that look like? How does that work here with what your guys' setup? Because, I mean, right now, I mean, we just had this past week or two, right? Johnny Dare. I mean, the radio stations are struggling, in particularly in the region, but probably nationally. So how do you keep up with that?
All the way across the board. Yeah, I knew a lot of people at Odyssey that were out of job last week with everything that happened. And so that just stresses for us the need for local even more, which is what we specialize in, and being able to be as local as we can and connecting with people. I mean, you're not seeing that happen a whole lot right now, especially with the increase of, like Jack touched on, younger people not necessarily being as interested in radio, but trying to reach them still and finding different ways to connect to different segments of people like that.
Yeah, different demographics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a constant evolution. It sounds like to some degree, right?
Absolutely. And what we've seen too in Christian music anyways over the last probably 4 or 5 years, to kind of touch on what you were sharing about with the Hispanic population growing, how many artists do we have now that have some type of, they do both English and Spanish songs? Because Danny Goki is fluent in both, and Evan Kraft and a couple of others. And we've seen more and more people with ethnicity starting to break into Christian music a little bit more in the last couple of years, which is exciting for us to see.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not everybody's trying to be a country artist too,
right.
by the way. I mean, I don't know if you guys pay attention to any of that, but we love country music.
Yeah.
But like
Sure.
old school country music.
Like George
George
the
Jones.
King?
Wait,
George Strait.
George Strait. Okay, the King. Yeah,
Alan
I
Jackson?
thought you meant George
Yeah,
Jones.
Alan
That's how
Jackson.
far back I was talking about George Jones.
Hank Williams, maybe.
Hank Williams, Senior and Junior.
Yeah, I love it.
No, Jack said something earlier, D-Rod, that made me have a slight little bit of a memory. You know, I got a little tweak. You know,
Sounds accurate.
I got great memories of my mom slapping the hell out of me in church because that was that kid that was like laughing at my brother who was clowning around. So you know, you slap the kid you see laughing, not the kid who was clowning around in church.
yeah,
Sure.
So, you know, I was an example. I was the older brother. That's okay. But you talked about music. So let me know if any of these names ring a bell. There was a rapper who came to Kansas City kind of often back in the 90s, had a couple of his tapes or maybe CDs at the time. T-Bone. That ring a bell?
You've heard the name T-Bone?
Is that who the
T-Bone?
Kansas
I've heard
City
the name
T-Bones
T-Bone.
were named after?
Not that T-Bone.
Not that. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe.
mean-
there was a rapper T-Bone. He actually was in a movie. This is the last I saw of him, by the way. He was
How
in a
long ago
movie.
was that?
The movie or the music?
The music.
The music was 90s, early 90s,
So you
What are
probably
the
wasn't
90s?
even born yet.
No, I was born in 94.
94. That was probably the last time I like played his music when you were born. But the movie he was in was with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyonce.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's where Cuba Gooding Jr. is like trying to revive a church choir.
Cool.
And he has these prisoners, and one of them can sing, and the other one can rap. And they come in, and I'm like,
That was T-Bone?
This dude looks really familiar. And sure enough,
It was
this
him?
dude starts rapping, and I'm like, that's T-Bone. Like,
Shout out T-Bone.
Shout out
Where you
T-Bone,
at, man?
man.
Let's get you on the podcast, man.
Hey, I'm serious, man. I don't know if you guys I mean, check out. I don't know. I wish I knew. Look that movie up. What's the name of that movie?
Yeah. Somebody answer that question.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the movie.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
No. I mean, we're talking about music. I was just wondering, do the listeners with your playlist, do the listeners have any type of say in like what you guys play?
Great question.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a music team that people can be a part of, and it's hugely because we talked a little bit earlier about the music research that we have to do and that we pay for in many cases. But our music team, they've got their own private like Facebook page. They get music
really?
sent to them that they can vote on and say, hey, play this more, play it less, check this out.
Is that through the
okay.
Life 88 handle, or is that something separate?
On the website,
on
yeah,
the
you
same
can join
web-
for free.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, they're doing a pretty good job because, like I said, I've been listening for a little bit now, and there's a couple artists, man. They're kind of
Are you through the 7-day challenge?
I think I've been probably like 21-day
You're
challenge,
stuck now.
man.
You're stuck.
I am because I kind of tune in and hey man, look, I'll say it, and I'll tell you there's a song, the artist, I don't know who they are, but there's a song called "Greatness Our God," "Greatness of Our God," or something like that. I think
How
the
great
band-
is our God, or
No.
maybe how great thou art,
I mean,
or
greatness
of God.
Greatness of our God.
goodness of God.
New Boys, I think is a group.
The Newsboys?
Yeah,
Newsboys.
Newsboys, yeah.
That's kind of cool. I kind of dig that one. And then there's another song, man. I think the chick's name is Wilson.
Ann Wilson.
Ann Wilson.
Yeah, a little
Ann
country
Wilson's
flair
kinda
for you.
dope.
Yeah.
And then there's another one. Oh man. Anyways, look, man,
Big
the
fan.
music.
I
mean,
like it.
that's kind of
A real
it's catchy.
listener. Real
Absolutely.
listener.
It's
JL?
catchy. It's catchy, man.
I need to
It's
catch up,
catchy.
man. I need to catch up, man.
It's catchy.
It was Fighting Temptation.
Fighting Temptations.
From Cuba Gooding Jr. Okay.
Fighting Temptations, Cuba Gooding Jr., Beyonce, T-Bone.
Yeah.
So would that have been about the time that he did the football movie with Jerry Maguire? Was that back then?
Might have,
I think it was
might have-
before.
Might have
Before
been.
that? I think it was before.
Might have been
Okay.
somewhere in there. Might have been somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But man, let me tell you something. T-Bone has some hits. I mean, you know, for a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Who,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta listen. He had to keep up with Snoop Dogg in my playlist, E40. You know, like the
T-Bone was out there
gangster
with him?
rappers, Dr. Dre, and
44,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
T-Bone.
T-Bone.
T-Bone
If
is.
this is the same
Put 'em-
T-Bone,
Put him. That's him. Put him on your.
I just did T-Bone.
I just turned.
Okay.
I just turned you on.
You did.
well, his number one hit is Volaire, so I don't know what that means.
Doesn't sound familiar. Probably a brand new song. I hope he's still rapping the way he did. But anyway, great thing.
Interesting.
I was going to ask you though. Your music has to be a piece of what you all do here, right, on the radio. What else do you do? What else do you guys provide on the radio?
So on the radio, let's think about all of the different things. Obviously,
Well-
the music is kind of the thing that gets people connected to all of the other pieces, I think.
I can hop in here because I literally just did a LinkedIn post about this. So, oh my gosh, I'm so prepared.
go.
Shout out to our LinkedIn. It's got
Shout out
64 followers.
How many?
Professional Facebook. Give it a holler.
We'll connect. We'll connect you guys. We'll be 65.
Oh, legit. Thanks, man. You rock. So anyway, on there, you would see that I had like a top 10 list of what Life 88.5. Yeah, I don't want to say offers because it's so self-serving, but like this is how you could be a part of the ministry as well. And so we're not just talking heads, right? We provide great Christian music, but we do 10 other things. We do more than that, but
yeah.
10. So some things on there were, of course, we have our bread and butter, our community events. Last year alone, we did over 113 was our total, 113. So about one every 3 days. That's crazy. But we want to be boots on the ground and serve those people best we can.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. But of course, all the other things are such as we have our day partners, right? Something we didn't share is Life 88.5 is purely listener supported nonprofit radio. So if our listeners don't continue to give like they faithfully have over the last forever, then we'll be off the air. And
Okay.
so to be a day partner, you can give a certain amount and then you could give special shout outs on the air and have a in honor of them moment.
What do they get? What do they get for being a day partner?
Well, so,
Access to Jack and TJ.
we're more available than the figures you would need to be a day partner.
Okay.
But if you want to be a day partner, half day starts at 2,000 and then a full day starts at 4,000.
Okay.
Business partners, we have a lot of. Part one is, John Smith giving faithfully, but also part two is John Smith's Plumbing giving faithfully.
Yeah.
So we have roughly maybe 20 or so business partners right now, and so you'll hear their spots on the air.
Got it.
Other things, music team. Other thing, prayer wall, right? With fundraisers alone, because we fundraise 3 times a year, to the chagrin of some people. They think that's too much, but we need it. So we take people's prayer requests if they give a gift, or even if they don't and they call in, they just need prayer. So for perspective, one 5-day fundraiser may yield over 150 prayer requests, right? And we
Yeah.
have people on the sidelines ready to go, ready to lift that prayer up immediately. And so times that by 3, times that by 365, you know,
Yeah.
those prayers add up, and they matter because prayer matters and it makes a difference. So yeah, those are some of the other ways that Life 88.5 is kind of this multifaceted ministry.
Okay.
Right. The power of prayer, man.
Yeah, man, I love that, man, and D-Rod couldn't said it better, the power of prayer. You know, one of the things that I would like to get your guys' thoughts on is, why is prayer so important? Why would you say prayer is so important? Maybe just to you or in general?
Yeah.
Why is prayer so important?
You want to go first, or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
Just because I just love prayer. But anyway, prayer is important because we get a direct access to God, right? There's other religions that say you need to do X, Y, Z to get closer to God.
Sure.
Right.
But wow, isn't it just so simple to just come as you are, and He's right there for you to pour out your cries, to pour out your anger even, or just rejoice with Him. He is always there by your side, and we don't need any special intermediary person to help us out. Yeah. We can do it in the, the hard night or the bright day, right? It doesn't matter. He's always there just waiting for us to talk to Him, because He, more than any sort of religion, He wants a relationship.
Yeah.
And so you can't have a relationship with someone that you just talk to once a week, right? You got to cultivate that, talk daily, and really pour into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the number one reason right there. But the other thing that's amazing about it too is when you hear somebody that has a prayer request, and then you get to have a conversation with them, because I think a lot of times in our lives we think we might be the only person struggling with some type of something that you're walking through, whether it's a health challenge or a relationship problem or something like that. But then you get to realize, I'm not alone in this. There are other people that are struggling with this same thing, and God wants us to be he wants us to come to Him whenever we have something going on in our lives, because it is that relationship factor. That's the big thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I may say one last quick thing. Let's see. I just lost it. Classic. So you were talking.
Way to go, Jack.
Yeah, I know. I got so excited to interrupt you, and then I didn't even.
We're interrupting you. You can't interrupt us.
Fair point.
I got-
No, you go ahead.
No, you go.
Great, because
don't
I
want you to
lost
lose
it
it
again.
again.
I doggone it. I lost it.
You just think on it for a second, Jack.
Yeah.
You'll get it.
All right. Okay. Well, then this is something that I was thinking about, and what a great way to introduce it. What would you tell people, man, that because there's so many that have questioned their faith. You know, it's more when something tragedy happens, loss of a child, something that goes on with them.
Loss of a job, health. I mean, all
there's
kinds
so
of
many things when tragedy happens, and we're talking about prayer. You know, it's more common where people question their faith like that. And has anybody ever, you had to talk them out of that and into, look, just pray, just come on and let's do it together. And what would you tell any of our audience listeners or watchers that have had a tragedy that question their faith?
That that's okay, that you don't have to have it all figured out, that if you are in a situation where you are questioning your faith, or you're angry, or you're hurt, or you're broken, that's an okay place to be. Like I don't think that probably gets talked about enough with even believers, that that's okay. I mean, that's a human emotion, but God is there to help us walk through those challenging times in our lives, and that just know that if you don't have it all figured out, join the club. I don't have it all figured out. I mean,
yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, TJ. And I was sitting here thinking about that when you were saying, I was like, we're 4 guys, and just Jack, I don't know if do you have kids yet?
No, sir.
No, okay.
Single as a Pringle.
You will one day, because they're all coming at you after today. But we have children, right? And I know for me, I've already raised a boy who's graduated college, and watching him go through the steps of questioning his faith. And I had to be like, man, take a deep breath, calm down, because there was a moment where I did too as a young boy, right? I think most young men, we get to a point in life where we think, I know everything. I'm healthy as I'm ever, we don't know this, right? I'm healthy as I'm ever going to be. I feel like a king, et cetera, et cetera. I can do anything I want. What do I need? Who do I need? I don't even need my parents, right? Why do I need God, And, you were talking about how we don't talk about that enough. I'm a man of faith. We both are. And so it is interesting because I think that's a great point to have people. Maybe that's a good something you guys could think about is bringing people on to say, you know what, we're going to spend an hour or two talking about our faith challenges and how we struggled even with it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're stepping into this summer. We actually have 3 events set up that they're just called prayer point events, where we're going to go to places in the community and open it up for people to come by and just, if you need some prayer, you need somebody to talk to, we're going to do it. We don't have any idea what to expect on this at all. We just kind of went in to these with an open bag, and we're like, okay, God, we're just going to trust you that if one person shows up and that's what they need, then we're going to try to be faithful in that. And we're excited about that.
Heck yeah, we are. And dare I say that I actually remembered what I wanted to say earlier.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
right,
so so I like... Oh,
I'm not.
So I like to say, like when I was leading the youth at church, like there's never a time where you open the Bible, actually read it, and close it and feel worse, right? And I think that's the same about prayer, right? Even if you're coming into prayer, it's like, I don't know, something's going up, but I don't know if it's coming back down, right? You will feel better, right? Because you gave it a chance, and you're giving God a chance to work. Right. So that's what I'd say about that. And to the point of our prayer events, we just got to trust God. And that's what we ask people like to do in hard times, right? Because humans, the carnal mind can't understand the divine, right? So therefore, we just need to trust that there is someone out there greater than me that can help me through the struggle.
Well, that's that connection to a higher power,
Amen.
Yeah, man.
I love that, man. So I have to ask you this. I mentioned T-Bone. Jackie Velasquez or Rachel Lampa?
Wow.
Have you heard of them?
We actually just had Rachel Lampa for our free concert last year. She was one of our artists.
Is that right?
Does she do any Spanish stuff? She's bilingual.
Oh, she does that?
She did. She sang one of her. She's got a song where she mixes a little bit during it. Oh. But yeah, she's actually in the last 2 years made a re-entry into Christian radio again. And I don't know about Jackie Velasquez. I haven't heard some of her stuff for a while now, but there's a couple of other artists like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Rachel's a great lady. I mean, she had she's got a ministry that she does with a couple of other Christian artists, and her story is pretty neat to hear a little bit more of.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance to dig in.
If she ever comes back, let us throw her on the podcast, man. Okay. I'm sure people would love to hear her story.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, because actually our office coordinator, shout out Jess, had an interaction with someone the morning of. It was the clerk at the grocery store. She was picking up green room items for Rachel's green room, no less, and was talking about the free concert. And the clerk was like, "Oh my goodness." She listened to her Christian music, right? And that's how she learned English. Yeah. And then she came to America. And so Jess, shout out to her again. I mean, she's like, why don't you come on by the free concert? She did, and she got to meet Rachel Lampa.
That's awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Awesome. Yeah. TJ, I wanted to ask you a couple things, man, that I've seen also. You talk about community, getting out there and helping and doing whatever you can. We're 88.5. There's a couple things that I seen you were a part of. Raise a Roof, right?
Uh-oh.
Raise a Roof, which you want to talk about that? And
Sounds
also,
dangerous.
And
Sounds
also
dangerous.
the KC Kindness, right?
Tour, yeah.
Tour, KC Kindness, I'm sorry. KC Kindness Tour and Raise a Roof, man. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so let's dig in with Raise the Roof. This has been something that has gone on for a couple of years now. Christian Brothers Roofing is one of our business partners, and we kind of had this wild idea a couple years ago. Okay, like what can we do to really bless somebody? And they were like, well, we can donate a roof to someone. And we were like, that would be incredible. And so for, is it 4 years?
Sounds
I
right.
think the last 4 years, we've done it several times a year where we have asked listeners to nominate somebody that they know in their life that could really use a new roof on their house, because I have issues with my roof, and it drives me crazy. So
And every homeowner's like, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Hey, whenever it hails.
because there's some incredible peace of mind when your roof is solid. It just helps
Yes.
you. And so they've come along, and I think they've done 6 or 7 different roofs now over the course of the last several years.
Even a
And
doghouse. Like, they don't mess around.
And the doghouse,
yeah,
too?
and the doghouse.
last year, the home that we went to was in North Kansas City, and they came in and we got a knock on the lady's door, and she opened it, and we got to surprise them, and they were there and we were there, and her kids were at home that morning, and we're like, hey, it's like the old Publishers Clearinghouse, where you roll up and you're like, hey, we got the brand new roof for you. Wow. And so she was just like so excited.
Oh, man. I could imagine.
And we're in her home, and it was cool in the home.
Yeah.
And the Scott Horseman, who is with Christian Brothers Roofing, was like, hey, I noticed all of the space heaters. What's the situation with that? And she was like, oh, our furnace is on the fritz. And so he was like, we got it. And so
awesome.
not only got the roof, but replaced her furnace for her. And so that's just been, I mean, think about that. What that would be like if somebody came to your house and you were nominated by somebody. We had a school teacher in KCK that won 2 years ago, and I thought that one was really neat because my wife's a teacher, and so I know the struggles that teachers go through in their lives. Sure. And he had, I think it was a former student that had actually nominated him.
Okay.
And to think that he had that much of a legacy in somebody's life that they would want to bless him that way. And so that's something.
And this is Christian Brothers Roofing. Shout out Christian Brothers Roofing, man.
It's
great work.
That's a great thing, man.
It's incredible to know what and we're doing it again this fall. We'll be doing.
So how can people nominate people?
So the contest will open, I think, at the end of September, and basically you can nominate somebody. You submit a picture of like what their roof looks like and a little blurb about their situation, and then we have 3 finalists, and then the listeners vote on which of the finalists receives the roof.
Awesome.
Do I have to know them, TJ? Because I drive by some houses sometimes, and I'm like,
wow,
man, they need help. I think I see raccoons popping in and out of the roof.
But that's amazing for us to have partners like that that see the vision and want to impact people's lives that way in a tangible way like that.
For sure.
Well, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And you could times that by X amount of initiatives. I mean, we had Skip a Payment, right, where people could nominate people to, we had Alpha Mortgage, right? You would pay their mortgage for that month or their rent payment for that month. We had Paint It Forward, shout out Mission Painting. They would provide paint projects for a nonprofit and also a residential house. We have a pastor appreciation, like it goes on and on. So we're just really a conduit to give out blessings, and that's what really fires us up every day.
Well, I think you said it earlier, right? You're a nonprofit radio station, and I think, some are for profit. They have to be, you know what I mean? And it's a different mentality, any for profit is. I mean, you're in it to make money, but the nonprofits, and we've had a handful here now on Enterrupt KC. It's beautiful, the work that you're doing, because it's so not about you as it's so much about the people, right? And the lives that you're impacting.
Yeah, and one of my absolute favorite initiative that we do is something that happens in the 8 Tuesdays leading up to Thanksgiving. We call it
Tuesdays. Okay.
We call it Terrific Tuesday. And so we've done that the last couple years, and we go into 8 different communities on those Tuesdays, and we partner with food banks, and so we just ask people to come by whatever the location is. Hey, come and see us this morning from this time to this time, and then everything that's collected that morning actually stays in that community. So if we go to Wellsville, or we go to KCK, or we go to Liberty, or wherever it is, people really rally around that because they're like, hey, this is my chance to help a neighbor that I don't even know personally.
Right.
But this is my city. This is my city. I take some pride in that.
Yeah.
And so they come and they drop off food, and then it blesses whatever their local food pantry is. And last year was just absolutely remarkable because over 5 tons of food was collected over the 8 Tuesdays.
Shout out our listeners.
Yeah, that was just, I mean, and in some of the communities, that's what I get excited about, is to see how they care for their own. We went to Garden City, Missouri. That's a town of 1,500 people, and they set a record that morning of over 3,300 pounds of food that came in 3 hours.
Wow.
And Hamilton was another location. I mean, we just kind of bounce all around our listening areas.
JL.
You know what that is,
JL,
D-Rod.
do you know what that is?
Oh, what's happening?
TJ.
Did we do this thing? You know what that is,
Did he win a prize?
TJ, Jack.
Oh, we both won.
It is a prize,
It is a
actually.
prize.
It's a salute
It's
on
a
behalf
salute.
of
It's a
Enterrupt
salute
KC.
to you. It's a salute to Life 88.5 and all you're doing for the community here, man, and helping the people. So salute you for
Salute
that.
is our version of cheers.
Salute to our listeners, too, man.
Salute to the
Absolutely.
listeners,
It's
supporters.
a pleasure and a privilege to work here, but it's more like serve here. And some days it's more like just have fun here, right?
all
So
fun.
And the reason I like Terrific Tuesday so much is because we literally have a scale that sits on our table that when somebody brings a sack of food, we set it on the scale and we know how many pounds.
Oh,
and
really?
And we're doing reports all morning long.
Yeah.
And people ask all the time about Terrific Tuesdays because most of those events happen from 7 to 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. And people are like, why are you doing it from 7 to 10 on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
But there's a very specific reason why most of them happen at that time, because we want people that listen to Life 88.5 or don't even listen to know that right when you wake up in the morning, you can change somebody's day.
Amen.
Like that could be one of the very first things that you do. And so that's why we're intentional about having them early in the morning.
Yeah.
Because we want people to know that right out of the gate, before your day gets hectic and chaotic and crazy and you got to do all of the things you got to do, that you can help change somebody's day. And so it's exciting. And those are
awesome.
great events, and it's fun to see. And
Yeah.
I'm excited about this year too.
yeah, there's no greater adrenaline rush than seeing 15 cars lined up down the parking lot, you know, and to come and donate. So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And then seeing the food banks or the food pantries in those cities that are the recipients, they're just like, you know,
Grateful.
we've had it happen though. We went to Leavenworth 2 years ago, and that particular morning, it was 19 degrees. It was Halloween morning.
Nice and warm.
The wind was howling out of the north, and we were at Haymarket Square, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to come this morning. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And we had 918 pounds of food that came in that morning. Wow. And it went to one of the food pantries that was just down the street from our location. And by 5 o'clock that night, I got a text from her that said it's all back in the community. They had a distribution that day. That's how much of a need there is in many of the communities in these food pantries, that we've had it happen on a handful of occasions. They've had a distribution that same day, and every pound of food is already back into the community.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible, man. You guys are doing really great work, man. It's God's work, man. Honestly, it's beautiful. Talk about. I mean, it's just two of you sitting here for Life 88.5, but man, there's many doors and many little offices here. How many people here, Life 88.5, work here?
Well, it's kind of deceiving with all the doors. There's 9 full-time staff members.
Yeah.
And then there's some part-time weekend trackers, voice recorders, that sort of thing, for those who can't come in and record here. But, yeah, it's a small operation. And, I mean, honestly, part of the reason I reached out to you, JL, is because I knew you guys had a platform and a positive platform at that. And I just wanted folks to know that we're here. we're in their backyard.
Yeah.
Because everybody makes a legit fuss about shopping local, but listen local.
Yes.
It's just as important because we're doing life alongside you, and we want to bless you and serve you best we can. So, yeah. 9 people to about 180,000 listeners is a rough ratio when you look at it that way, but we try to serve them all the best we can.
Yeah, so we have 9 staff members, like Jack said, but we can't do the things that happen outside the walls of Life 88.5 without our life support team.
Shout out.
That group of volunteers, they are some of the most caring, dedicated people that you'd ever want to serve alongside. That team actually started in 2017.
Oh, okay.
We got to the point at Life 88.5 where we're like, okay, we're growing as a station. We're seeing listenership stair step up each year. We want to do more in the community, but again, with a limited staff. And at that time, we only had 5 people. We only had 5 full-time individuals. And we're like, it's hard right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. I was on the morning show at that time and doing double duty like many of us do here. And we got to the point where, like, okay, for us to reach people and do it effectively, we've got to have more help.
Right.
And so we started our life support team, and it started with just a few people. We had an initial class of 8, and I don't think anybody's left from that initial
Yeah,
class.
that's really cool.
But we've grown each and every year. And what's neat about that is we have these people that start off as strangers that are serving together. And now, what is it, almost 8 years later, some of the people that are on that team, they actually like do life together outside of serving together. They're like really dear friends with each other. And so that's amazing to see. I mean, that's how change happens, is when you get people united together and they see the impact with their own eyes and they're like, hey, something's really going on here. And so to see that team continue to evolve and be so influential in the impact that they've had through this ministry is really exciting.
I think that's awesome, man. You wouldn't think there's only 9 people here, Jack, by the way. I mean, this you walk in here and you're kind of like, oh, man, there's probably
spacious.
like 20 people in here.
Well, we're
working,
grateful for it because our old one is a glorified hallway. I mean, it was like a third of the size.
It's better than the 3rd floor army barrack.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
For sure, better than that. I'm sure.
I got a question to go back a little bit on you know, how you give and like Christian brothers or people that help you like provide the roofs. If there's any other companies that want to link in with you guys and help, like say there's somebody who does concrete or somebody who carpentry and any of that, do they just contact you through your website as well and be like, hey, I'd like to be a partner with you in that?
Yeah, they could do it through our website, or they could call the office, because Kara Madden is our business relations lady, and she does a tremendous job of getting connected with people that want to do something like that for the community or in that way.
Yeah,
she's our big contact for that.
I just thought I'd ask because we have a wide range of listeners and some are business owners that do that type of work, man. So,
well, thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about that because
Absolutely.
Our page gets a lot of traffic, right? And we talked about our numbers. We have very large numbers and top 10 radio station in Kansas City. And so I think almost all of our business partners, if not all, have repeated back to us that this was worth it, right? So the proof is in the pudding.
for sure. Yeah.
That's excellent to hear. Top 10 radio station.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. We're going to be a top 10 podcast.
Yeah.
Man, I don't
D-Rod.
know. Hopefully,
We're working
maybe year
there.
10.
Maybe year 10.
Are you got a
we're
LinkedIn?
working.
I mean, that's kind of.
Hey, we got LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we have 25. Wait, how many?
Well,
60.
the shade. It was 64.
after Jack follows us, we'll
65.
have.
But keep in mind, a shout out, because I'm trying to build that. Sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off, D-Rod.
Yeah, you're okay.
But this guy, I mean, he built the largest Facebook of any Christian station in America. Or what was that title? Because we have.
What?
Oh.
You got a belt? You need like a wrestling belt with that on there, right?
He's
So-
just carrying us.
Yeah.
Yeah, our Facebook page is actually the largest of any Christian radio station in the country.
Wow.
And actually the biggest radio station in Kansas City, too. So I
Nice.
think we're at 273,000 people that are on Facebook.
Nice, man.
DJ,
Well, we can't wait to
salute to
let
that.
everybody know we talked to you all.
Yeah.
Well, I think, one of the things I was going to ask you, though, I mean, podcasting, right? I mean, we've talked about this, D-Rod and I. Mm-hmm. Radio stations have started to shift a little bit more toward conversation, I would say podcast style, not so much now as much music, if you will. And it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, part of me is like, why y'all doing that? Stick to radio. We're doing podcasting, like let us do that, But I also think it's the times, you know what I mean? People want to hear conversation. Have you guys ever thought about anything like that? And another thing I wanted to throw in there, we've had 1-2 people reach out to us directly, and we've already met with one of them. And they're like, man, I listen to your podcast because it's so positive, it's engaging. I want to start a podcast. And they wanted it to be faith-oriented, testimony-driven podcasting. And they were like, how do you all do this? And so we met with them and kind of talked them through it. That's why I asked that question, is because making me think of that, D-Rod.
Yeah, shout out Ariana, man.
Yeah, Ariana, shout out.
Yeah, go girl, get it.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, probably TJ would be the man.
Yeah, so I think that is one of the reasons or ways that our on-air shifts have to kind of balance, like, how do you connect to people? Like, how are people consuming media now? Because it is changing in radio, but it also goes back to, like, what we talked about, the importance of local, because it's disappearing so much in so many markets across the country, and Kansas City is no different than that. And that's how we can stand out, is to be conversational with people. And I think that people, when they hear that, it relates and it hits home. And I think that's an important thing. And so one of the ways that we've tried to continue that with just like what we do on air and how we interact with people through the text line, or people calling into different shows, and then having a podcast platform where people can get connected to those types of podcasts and things. I think you have to just nowadays be extremely flexible in the way that you connect with people, because it changes so fast. We see that all the time.
Yeah. Well, you said it earlier, right? You guys are thinking maybe bilingual in the future, something like that, just trying to connect with different demographics, but also generational changes. I mean, we're talking about, you guys have an app, right?
We do have an app.
You have an app. So people can listen to you on their app now, which is different than turning the old knobs on the Chevy, whatever.
Stop with the radio hate, man.
Turning the old. Well, I mean, listen, man. Like, it's not even knobs anymore, Jack. It's buttons. It's been buttons for a long time. Let's be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's trying to evolve to the new generation of folks that are coming up. Right.
We've had to several times increase like our bandwidth on our streaming, because so many people are consuming differently. They're not all listening in their car or on their radio. Like in our house where I live.
Playing it on TV or something.
Yeah, you can play it on TV. We don't actually own an actual radio in our house. You got the Alexa speakers or however you listen on your phone through the app and
stream it
stuff
anywhere.
Like that. Yeah, you can stream it, and you got to be where the people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
to take away from air.
TJ, you just made me wonder, do I have a radio in my house? I don't even know if I have a...
I don't.
I don't even think I have a radio anymore.
I mean, our phones are so
convenient, man.
Amazing
The convenient
now.
of everything. We just talk.
Jack, you're the youngest here. Do you have a radio?
No.
I was going to say, I'd be shocked if you...
But
Jack's like, no, I got an 8-track.
What I will say for the youth out there watching, so I'd like to say that the events and everything that we do here is not just for adults. I mean, I try to tell these high schoolers, these middle schoolers that come up to our tent, and they're just interested in a slap bracelet or some cool item. But I try to tell them that this is just for you as it is for your mom and dad. Like, this can change your life, right? Because the medium changes, but the message sure doesn't.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just a quick little tidbit here. We had a girl who was getting bullied at high school every day, and but she kept singing to herself a song she heard on Life 88.5. It's called "What He Says About You" by the Afters, and so she was just speaking that about what God says about her and not what other people say about her, and it helps her get through the rough school day every day. So I mean, it could help people with bullying and all the things. So just be open to it and try it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I love that, man. Go ahead, D-Rod, you had a question?
No.
I was going to ask, you mentioned local, both of you, a handful of times now. What if I'm a local artist and I make Christian music, positive music, music that fits within your category, how do I connect? How do I get you to play my music, basically? I'm a local artist. So
Step one is be good.
Be good. Well, let's say I'm a good local artist.
That is a question that we actually get asked quite a bit. And Mel, who oversees our programming, that's one of the things that she has to handle. Is a lot of it comes down to, though, the actual quality of how it's produced, and then the actual streaming rights, because all of the ASCAP and all of the
BMI.
other BMI and all of those other
Right. So tactfully speaking, were you finished?
No, go ahead.
Cool beans. So I got my start at the front desk, and so you were like the wall, right?
Yeah,
and you siphon.
You
it,
cannot
okay?
get past me.
So
You will not enter. My name is Gandalf.
program a Gandalf reference. Respect.
Yes.
So program director is super busy, of course. But what I'm getting at is there's like a criteria of about 7 things and that we give to these people. And like TJ's saying, a lot of it is quality. Not even like that's a good rhyme or that's good music. It's just like audio quality. It has to be like, these are good microphones. We have a good setup here.
Yeah.
But if you hear static or something,
We ain't making no music off this, believe me.
well, we talked about
We
T-Bone.
have.
So. But yeah, that's basically it. Once you get your quality, that's a great starting point. But put in the work and the money prior to get good quality, and then you stand a chance. Because honest to goodness, a cool success story is Mitch Langley. He's from a local church. He's a worship leader over at Westside Family Church, and he had the good quality, and he also had the good song. So he started out low. It was the radio category C. It started in the lowest category. It played like a couple times a day.
Sure.
But then it caught on. People loved it more. Moved up to B, to A, and then it moved up to Power, and it's once an hour we were hearing Mitch Langley's song.
Wow.
And that was from a pastor just down the street.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but
Yeah.
it's hard to do.
It's awesome, man. I could imagine like being an artist, and I mean, there's so much good music out there, right? So, which leads me to our next phase here. Maybe before we wrap up, we're gonna ask you guys some
Fun questions.
fun questions, some questions that'll pull out a little bit out of you. All right, so favorite biblically accurate movie.
Oh, biblically accurate.
Not Noah, that one that came out a while back. That was wonky.
You didn't like that?
I actually
Where
never
only
watched
5
that one.
people
Oh, really?
survive, and we all came from. Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. No,
Russell Crowe was pretty wild in that movie.
There's a few to pick. I can't remember.
Biblically accurate movie. Favorite biblically accurate movie.
Well, mine was
What you got?
about the same. It was the same thing though. Your favorite religious. Let's call it just religious.
oh, okay. If we're going just favorite.
Well, I had that too,
Base.
but
Yeah.
go ahead. Because there's a difference. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Noah could have been mine, and it's religious, right?
They got stumped a little bit, so we'll just go over.
Honestly, anything by the Kendrick brothers. I mean, they put out some solid, theologically solid movies. Facing the Giants, The War Room. That was just on. Or sorry, not The War Room. That's also one of the movies. But The Forge was just on Netflix. So they were making moves. They were up to number 4 on Netflix, and they were biblically accurate. So that says something.
Courageous was another one. That they did.
Courageous.
And actually, one of the bigger artists that we play for King and Country, they have done several Christian movies. Mercy Me, who we have in concert in April in Independence, they've done a movie. They're actually working on a second one also.
Nice.
I can only imagine.
I can only imagine, yeah.
I think, though, for me, when you first asked that question, I thought of the movie Passion of the Christ.
Man, that's exactly
amen.
that's my favorite. So I was what made me ask that question.
Yeah.
You know they're coming out with the second one too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Mel Gibson. He made that one. He's coming out with the part 2, which is the resurrection of Christ.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
with same actor,
Jim Caviezel?
Caviezel.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you guys hear the story about Jim Caviezel?
don't
About
think
when he okay, so I heard Mel Gibson talk about that, right? And I don't know if you heard that as well,
Okay.
but he said that Jim Caviezel, after he portrayed Jesus in that movie, that he did a complete change. Of his whole
life turned around
His whole
completely.
life
No
completely.
kidding.
That he's a man of faith now. He's real strict about everything
Wow.
he does, says, and acting. He's going to be at the part 2. Yeah,
That's
No
pretty
way.
cool.
right,
Very
right,
cool.
right. Yeah.
All right. Second question I got. Favorite Bible verse?
Absolutely.
You
But yeah, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will lead straight your paths. So I'm big on acknowledgement, right? We acknowledge each other in conversation. Let's acknowledge God, right? Every day. That's where that relationship comes into play. So, and then he'll lead your path straight. He'll keep you on the straight and narrow. It's hard to stay on the straight and narrow, but he'll help you do it.
Was there a moment in life, Jack, or a situation that brought you to that Bible verse and made you say, this is my favorite?
That's a great question. I guess, fortunately, unfortunately, Awana's, shout out Awana program for anybody who went through that.
Wait. What is that? What is that?
He's laughing because it's a grade school program.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like from kindergarten through 5th grade.
I think so.
And they just pour scripture into you. So I learned a lot of scripture through that. And for God's, it's really only God that stuck that in my heart for so long, right?
Okay.
It must resonate in conscious ways and subconscious ways.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mine is Psalm 27:1, and the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? I mean, fear, it grips you, it stops you, and having that verse that's been with me since I think I was 13 when I heard that for the first time, and it was one that God reminds me of constantly. Hey, like, I'm here. I'm here
Nice.
with you. Don't fear. There's
Yeah.
no reason.
Amen.
And I still fear sometimes.
Well, you know.
Well, we all do. We're human, right?
But yeah, that one, that's mine.
You got a question, D-Ron?
Do y'all have
no,
a favorite
no.
Bible verse, perhaps? Do you have a favorite verse?
I do 100%. Do you, D-Ron?
Let's hear it.
Well, so I was thinking about this. I got a couple.
Okay.
There was one that is Joshua 1:9, right? And I think that we kind of talked a little bit about that already, talking about being courageous and in times of sorrow, times of being sad, and just to basically believe in Jesus, God, and He'll pull you forward, give you courage and strength.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I love that, man. Mine, and God, you're going to make fun of me because I don't remember the actual location of it in the Bible, but I know it by heart. It is, be still and know I am the Lord. And that is so powerful to me. And I'll tell you what, and the reason why I asked you that question, I'd like to hear your response, TJ, but for me, the reason why that became my favorite is actually over the last 5-6 years. Life throws you, peaks and valleys, right? I was definitely in the valley, and I was just like, man, I am freaked out. I don't know what to do. Maybe depression even set in a little bit, and I didn't grow up even believing in that. But I remember reading this Bible verse, and I was just like, okay, that's God talking to me. Be still. No. And so it was powerful. But what about you, TJ, man? How'd you come up to that Bible verse being your favorite?
I actually just read it one day, and then it just struck me in such a way that I was like, okay, this. And then I actually got a card that I had stuck in my Bible when I was 13, and it had that scripture on it, and it's just one that has been super close to me ever since. And I'm thankful too, because. And that's something that as my kids have gotten older and as they've walked through life and different things, having that type of knowledge that you can kind of pass on to them to be like, hey, it's okay. There's not a reason that you have to fear. I mean, we've walked through several things in our lives when fear has been an issue, and knowing that we don't have to know the answers, but we know the one that holds it all in his hand. that's a big deal.
Well, and the beauty of it is that we're going to continue to walk through life with things that we're afraid of. You know what I mean? D-Rod, what about you, man? When did you feel that became a...
Well, I don't know, probably about 2 hours ago. No, no, but I said
Talking
there
to
was.
these guys?
I said there was I said there was another one, man. So this is a D-Rod moment, okay? You guys seen the movie Pulp Fiction?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Ezekiel 25:17, right? Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson.
Right?
Scene.
Yeah, you know how he said that, right? It was the what did he say? The vengeance. I shall strike vengeance upon thee with furious anger.
Yeah.
As I lay you will know my name as the Lord as I lay my sword across thee. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna do my Samuel Jackson impression.
That would have been great. That would have been great. That would have been great.
I messed up the whole words.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, last fun question, then we'll jump to people, places, and things. Favorite artist right now that you love listening to that's on your playlist constantly? Put you on the spot.
T-Mac, Toby Mac, forever and always, man. Oh, absolutely. I loved him since you're kind of talking about how Bible verses originate, but how Toby Mac originated in my life was, it's not therapy hour, but it was kind of rough growing up. And so I was alone fair amount of time, but Toby Mac was always there in my CD player, which had a radio, of course. And man, I'd jam out to him, and just what he sang about and how he sang about. I not only felt cool because he was like a Christian hip hop rapper guy, but I also felt closer to God and felt like I mattered and that life is worth living and all those things.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for Toby Mac and his music, and he just had an album that dropped the other day, so give that a listen. Heaven on My Mind.
Let's go, Toby Mac.
So my all-time favorite is the artist Casting Crowns. So they've just kind of called it a career or a hiatus at this point for 20 years. And one of the reasons is they were the very first group that I ever interviewed on the air. We basically started radio together. And so
That's crazy.
I was 2 months into my gig, and they were the first artists in, and had a chance. And I've gotten to know Mark Hall just a little bit over the 20 years that I've done this. But probably right now, the song, or the person anyways, the music is Tasha Layton. And I'm excited because we're going to have a chance to do a show with her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, listen, before we start wrapping up here, don't forget T-Bone.
Oh,
Now I haven't listened to anything after his first two CDs, but he has some really good. I mean this in every way. Like I love music. I'm a music critic, and like I said, he had to keep up with some pretty heavy hitters, of hip hop back in the day.
Yeah, for sure.
And he kept up. So, and
in
then
your mind, though, you're a little biased. I know. I've never heard of the guy.
Well, listen, and you're 20 years younger than me, probably. I don't know what your genre of music is, but there is another guy, and man, this song always stuck with me, and it's a Christian song. So I grew up listening to Spanish Christian music. Marcos Witt, I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, and I also played in the band drums in church. So, but there was another song. It's called "I Saw the Lord." And I cannot remember the artist's name. It's killing me. I can't. But I remember he came here in concert, and it was a big deal. This is in the early '90s. And my mom took us, man. And I remember him performing it, and I was like, "Man, this is cool." It's like I saw the Lord, and He saw me. At the very end, it's like I saw the Lord. His eyes were lifted up. He was greatly adored, or something like that. Can't remember the artist's name, but
Was that show at Kemper?
maybe.
Was it Carmen?
Carmen. That's the artist's name.
TJ, ding, 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 ding.
We were probably at that same show together.
Oh, wow.
TJ, we
I've
met. I knew we met before.
That is so wild. That was the very first concert that I ever went to, was that Carmen show at Kemper. Sat the third row from the top of that old
Carmen.
arena.
I was actually like on the floor. Like I remember like watching him perform, like looking up and seeing
Yeah.
him perform. But maybe I was like on the third row looking at a TV screen. Now that I think about it, but no, Carmen, man,
Old school, baby.
man, old school, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Enterrupt
Good
KC.
job, TJ.
Yeah.
Good job,
So-
man.
Jack, catch up, man. Catch up, man.
Yeah, Toby Mac.
Listen, our generation. All right, Interrupt KC, people, places, and things. This is what we do for fun, man. You know, we're out here in Kansas City, so we're going to give you two things, okay?
KC.
And we'll take turns, okay? Each one it'll be you and then you, and it'll be this versus that, and you gotta
cool.
you gotta tell us, you gotta pick one, and then tell us why.
Okay.
Okay. All right, D-Rod, I'm gonna let you
Okay.
kick it off.
Jack, here we go. Rob Riggle versus Eric Stone Street.
Is Eric Stone Street the guy from Modern Family? That guy, for sure. He's just so fun.
You love that show.
Modern Family? Absolutely.
Yeah. Sophia, man. Shout out Sophia.
All right, TJ, you're a sports guy.
I am.
All right.
Sophia Vergara.
So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and so do you play golf?
Not really.
No. All right. I was gonna ask you that. All right, I'm gonna ask you a different one now.
Okay.
Let's do Bobby Witt Jr. versus Isaiah Pacheco.
Bobby Witt, all day, baby.
Yeah.
Got my Bobby Witt jersey on. Got it ready for opening day.
Jack sat back like I already know where this is going.
yeah.
You going to opening day?
Actually, no, because it's during our fall fun or during our spring fundraiser, so I can't go.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
But we'll be watching. I'll still celebrate.
All right. Make a prediction on the Royal season.
I say they're going to win 85 games this year and get back to the playoffs.
Okay.
85.
85.
Okay. Nice. All right.
I think
D-Rod.
they'll have a very similar season to last year. Yes.
It's kind of your bias though that you were facing earlier. He has a bias as well. He says that if there's one day that could be made a national holiday, it's opening day. So
Opening
he loves
day.
himself some
I
baseball.
would say Super Bowl Monday.
That would be
That's
good
a great
too.
answer. Yeah.
I'd go for either one of those. Or the kickoff of March Madness. Basically, I wouldn't
it-
work in March.
February, March. How about those 2 months? Just give. All right. Go ahead, D-Rod.
Okay. All right, TJ. Let's go with.
Whoa! Did I get slighted?
No, I'm going back.
Okay, sorry.
He'll
I'm just
get you.
naturally
He'll get
defensive.
you.
My bad.
I guess.
Do you have a bias?
Yeah. Okay. Sports guy, man. Sports guy.
Yeah.
The Truman Sports Sport Complex tailgating, right? Chiefs Royals versus Power and Light game day experience.
Sports complex all the way.
All the way.
When everything was shut down in 2020 and the baseball season didn't happen, my family and I went and tailgated outside of Kauffman Stadium, like on the day that opening day was supposed to take place. We like went and did a tailgate anyways. We're like, we're going to celebrate, man. Tailgating's where it's at.
It is.
To me, all
It
day.
is. Oh yeah.
That's
okay.
bonkers. Were you the only one in the parking lot?
We were the only ones there.
Oh my goodness.
All right. You like soccer?
Ish.
Ish.
Yeah.
All right.
Try me.
All right. Here we go. Sporting KC versus the KC Monarchs.
Tough. Tough. I was hoping you'd say a national team because then I'd go, oh, Sporting KC because it's local. But I mean, well, you can't say that either. I was going to say Sporting KC's got the championships. Well, so do the Monarchs.
Monarchs got a lot.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Then to that, I would say the Monarchs because the cheaper ticket prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Good answer.
Absolutely.
Good answer.
All right, I'm bringing it back with you, Jack.
Nice.
Joe's Barbecue
Yes.
versus Gates Barbecue.
Nah, Joe's. For
Joe's?
Sure. Absolutely.
What do you get?
But shout out LC's for the best
Hey.
Wings?
best burn-ins in
Oh,
the city.
burn-ins.
Yeah,
LC.
and
LCs?
that's a tough category, but LC is for real. What was your follow-up?
What are you getting from Joe's?
Oh, the classic sandwich at the gas station, no less. With the
Like, are you talking Z-Man?
yeah, for sure.
Z-Man?
Yeah.
The Z-Man sandwich?
Had that the other day.
Nice.
Fire sandwich. All right. TJ, the peanut versus Tanner's.
The peanut.
Yeah, their wings are good. Yeah.
Their wings are good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Getting them wings.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Okay. Jack. KC winter versus KC summer.
I mean, KC summer for reals. Yeah,
You don't
that's
mess
true.
with the
Kinda.
cold?
No, honestly, any cold or snow after Christmas is just a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like literally and figuratively and all the things.
Well, you know, our summers can get pretty brutal too.
Again,
I do empathize with that. I mean, I think we got up to 115 or so last summer. But there's always a nice pool to jump into if you ask me.
There you go.
bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know
you
if you
go.
can answer this question, TJ. Do you listen to sports radio? Okay, 610 or 810?
810.
810?
Yep.
Who are you listening to? All of them?
I've got a couple buddies there. So Stephen St. John and I called games together.
Yeah.
So I know him pretty well. Nate when he's there.
Yeah, Nate
I
Buchanan.
know Seren. I actually worked with him a little bit when I was interning in college, and so I got a couple buddies over there.
Nice, nice. Shout out 810, man. We need to get somebody from there on this station.
Come on, you know
what's
we know
up.
you watching.
Yep.
All right, Minsky's Pizza, TJ, and Jack. Minsky's Pizza versus Pizza Shop.
I'm going Minsky's when they have the Joe's Pizza.
Oh yeah. Oh, have you had that one
I
yet, JL?
haven't had that.
Oh yeah.
We gotta
Good
go.
call,
We gotta
good
go when it
call.
does.
Good call.
It's awesome.
Jack?
Pizza Hut. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, come
no,
on.
I'm kidding. Calm down.
Thin crust pepperoni. Come on.
Got that buffet with the cottage cheese. No, I would say Minsky's as well.
Minsky's?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
yeah.
all right.
Minsky's is fire, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, fellas, it has been great talking to you guys tonight
Oh, yeah.
about Life 88.5. Thank you guys for all the work you do in the community, for the city, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you, TJ and Jack.
Oh,
Thank you for
appreciate
your
it, guys.
time. Thank you for your
Yeah,
time,
absolutely.
man.
Thank you.
Before we go, there's two last things we need to ask you. The first one is, and this is you'll go first, TJ.
Okay.
Tell us you're from KC without telling us you're from KC.
Dang.
You know how to weave in and out around all of the holes in the road.
Potholes.
Jack?
That's a great answer. Well, keeping in mind I'm from Illinois, so I had less time
you
in the
live here
city.
now.
But
Liberty.
let me see
Liberty,
what
shout
I
out
can
You've been
Liberty.
here 5 years. You count.
Yeah, absolutely. I matter too. Thank you. Value and seen. I'd say when you choose a local grocery store over just the convenience of a national grocery store, like I drive with the Hen House because I know that's local.
Yes,
I ain't
sir.
messing around with the Price Chopper and all that.
Yeah. No chopper shopper.
The Hy-Vee.
I go to the
Shane,
Mexican
no.
Price Chopper. Everybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
Worst intersection in Kansas City.
Worst intersection, you said?
Worst intersection in Kansas City.
Oh, geez. Sorry, man. It's passionate. Anything in the crossroads, I mean, that gets dicey in a hurry. Or in Westport, even. That's tough.
Like 89th and Ward Parkway is pretty rough.
yeah.
There's that one intersection where there's like the stoplight and then you go forward and there's just the median and there's a stoplight right there. That's a tough one to navigate, especially if you got to go left.
Dang.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
All right, man. Again, man, thanks again for being on here, man. Thank you for your time. It was
Yes, sir.
incredible. I loved it. Is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience that we didn't touch on, something you want to tell?
I don't think so. I can't think of much.
No. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have a bit of a reputation in the office of being bold and forward, I suppose. So then I'll just say this. If you're out there and you don't know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, now is the time. He's waiting for you with open arms. Go ahead and reach out. Pray to him. He will make himself known to you, I promise you. So please reach out to him, and you could be saved forever.
Amen.
Well said,
Stuff.
man. Amen. With that, Enterrupt KC, JL.
D-Rod right here.
Like, follow, share, subscribe, everybody. Come check out our boy Tune In, Life 88.5 Kansas City. Check out our guys
Put it
TJ.
in
Check out
listen.
Jack. Check them out, man. They got a great thing going.
Yes.
God bless you guys, everybody. We out of here.
Bye,
Peace.
everybody.